Alright, so you ever wanted that game where you could be whatever you wanted to be, do whatever you wanted to do? Yeah. Pretty much like those old army ads that I always used to play all the time that were really obnoxious and really just not that great. Then Final Fantasy XIV might be your thing. The game allows you to be pretty much anything. At the drop of a hat, you could simply say, you know, I don't want to be what I am right now. I want to be that. I want to be a pugilist. I want to be able to fight with my fists. Or I want to be a dragoon. I want to be able to use a spear and just cut bitches to pieces. Or stab bitches. Or whatever you wanted to do. Final Fantasy XIV can let you do that. Instead of having yourself set as one class for the rest of your whole career in this game, you can simply say, you know what? I'm going to go to my characters, go to my gear set, switch to be an armor. The whole entire gear will change to reflect that. And now I'm a level 10. Instead of being level 25 Arcanist, I'm now a simple armor smith. That's it. None of my Arcanist stuff is carrying over. I can't bring back tow bars, my carbuncle. That is literally all I can do. That, of course, in terms of fighting, you want to be the Arcanist, because armor is a shithole at fighting. Alright, so let's go have a little bit of a wander. So obviously by what the graphic style and how it's not PC quality and all that whole top-notch nonsense, you can tell that this game is running on the console version for PS3, and it's still just as fun. The obvious hotbar selection here, which you can see flashing beneath, is still fantastic. It's one of the most intuitive things I've ever seen. It makes the game, what was it called, Defiance, look terrible. Instead of being a third-person shooter with badly mapped out abilities, it's simply a case of activating one hot side of the hotbar with one right trigger or left trigger being the other side. And if you want to switch between sets, then you've got all that. Just tap the R1 button. Easy, done. Very quick, very intuitive, and I love it. Combat, of course, is a bit basic. Simply select a target and attack it. There's no like Terra style combat where actively blocking and dodging will affect the battle. But overall, you know, it's an MMO. You can't really expect much from this one. Because of course they've got to account for latency and all that, so yeah, it's not bad. I don't mind it. I used to love Terra, but this game is just so much more fun in comparison. Of course, in all games you can get pets, such as this baby behemoth, which was with the collector's edition of the game. And you can also get mounts, which take a fuck ton of time to actually unlock. Of course, this is Ahriman. Pretty ugly bastard, isn't he? Alright, so let's keep going. Of course, I'm not a particularly big fan of Ahriman, so I'm going to unsummon him. And summon the Coel, which is another collector's edition. Oh, sorry, no, I'm wrong. Chocobo. Forgot what I had mapped. So yeah, Chocobo is an incredibly hard to unlock little ride because it just takes for a long time. You have to join a grand company, collect 2,000 seals, which isn't a lot like overall, because the missions you do will probably give you 200, 300 at a time, but overall it will be a pain in the ass. Of course, once you unlock it, it's just a lot more enjoyable because the music will change, and as you can hear in the background, it's the Chocobo theme, an old classic. Hasn't changed in God knows how many years. So as you can see, the PS3 version graphically is not as good as PC. You can tell there's a few frame rate issues here and there, but honestly, it's just fun. People who say that you can't play at anything other than 60 frames a second, I don't understand what they get, because I'm having a great deal of fun just playing this game on console. I don't need the best graphics in the world to have fun with the game. And with this game, you don't need it. It still looks incredible compared to most other games. The only game that I would say that would beat this in terms of scale and size and graphics style would be Skyrim. And that's because Skyrim is pretty much meant to be that way. Even though the quest style and overall story of it is pretty bland. Story with this game as well is not particularly gripping. I have to say, Most of the time I'm skipping through all of the text boxes. If I see a text box, I skip through it. I'll have like a brief read over it to get the idea of what the story is, but overall I just don't care for it. Nothing to say about the bad writing of the game, it's just not my style of writing. If you like the whole hath, doth, and maybe whatevers, then yeah, you might like the story. Overall, the story is just not my thing. However, you do get to see some recurring characters, such as the ever-famous Biggs and Wedge. They actually do make an appearance. Very happy about that. And then, of course, you get Sid, the airship pilot, which will actually appear later on. I'm not going to say where or when because I don't want to ruin it. You get some of the, including summons, which is actually a very interesting thing to talk about. Summons do make an appearance. Oh. Peaceling is trying to fight me. Nope, because he ran off. Summons make an appearance as not summons anymore. You can't actually summon them to fight with you. They're actually called primals this time around, so they're actually like godly forces acting on the earth, if that makes sense to you. Also, if you're wondering why everything looks murky as shit, that's not the graphics, that's actually because we're in the middle of a sandstorm at the moment. So anyway, Elder Primals, or such as Bahamut, Ramu, Odin, Garuda. I think Shiva is there too. I haven't seen much of her though. And just pretty much all of that. Like all of them are not summons, they're primals. Essentially they govern the forces of the world and they represent each of their individual elements. Of course, it doesn't mean they're actually benevolent. Sometimes they're just evil sons of bitches, such as Ifrit, who is just a real big, massive cunt, to use a strong word such as that. So yeah, unfortunately the one thing that this world does take away from in the remake of the game is instead of having a big open world where you can go from city to city with no load screens, unfortunately they had to get rid of that in terms so they can just make the game a little bit more accessible. Also so it loads a lot better overall and it's not as clunky as it used to be. So as you saw, I went through into another zone and now we'll come out on the other side a little bit further than the way we should be if you were to follow the geographic side of things, as you can see. I don't think that was the correct term actually. That doesn't matter. You get what I mean. But yeah, so every world is zoned off, which kind of does take away from the whole epic size of the field, but even then, it takes forever to actually explore one field completely. And of course, to help encourage you to do that is... Oops, sorry, accidentally took a screenshot. Of course, you can screenshot on the PS3. You just need a keyboard to do so. So if you go over to logs, one of the things that helps you that encourages you to explore the world is the hunting log. You get massive experience points just for completing it, such as for completing all of these ones here, I get the experience boost of 2,500 XP, which I don't need to say is a fair decent bit. So say the one thing I haven't completed as of yet is the nesting buzzard. So I obviously have to go to Lower Nocia and go to Cedarwood. And of course, normally I wouldn't go there for any other reason, but since the hunting log is there, it's encouraging me to go hunt somewhere else. There are, of course, dungeons. However, the game has yet to really nail that down, because it just doesn't work that well. Normally you have to go to this thing called the Duty Finder, which is what you're seeing here. And I don't know, it's just, it doesn't work very well. So the way it works is you simply select the ones you want to go for. So if I want to go for Hatali or the 1000 Moles of Turtle Rack, you can go to Join Party in Progress, which helps speed things up a little bit, and you go join. Obviously, people who know what Final Fantasy XIV is like at the moment will know that it could be between 10 minutes to an hour for me to get into a dungeon. And that's if I'm lucky. So yeah, as you can see, the world, this area of the world is actually quite barren. It's very flat, very spread out. That's because we are obviously in the more desert part of the world. And as for that big yellow thing up in the sky there, I've got no fucking clue. So yeah, this is like a one brief area of Final Fantasy XIV. There's a lot to do for this game. Like, there's just so much to do, so much to explore, so many side missions. It's an incredible amount of fun. There are a few issues, but of course it's only just started up, so obviously no MMO is perfect on day one. If that were the case, then, well, pretty much there'd be MMOs everywhere. That being said, I'm going to leave it at this. Simply put, I'm going to be venturing off into the wide world, and I'm going to leave you guys here. And I hope to hear from you guys again soon. Leave a comment on the end of the video if you like the video. If you want to see more of this game, let me know, and I'll get around to doing it for you. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later.